Hey, what's up everyone? Lex here, and today I want to talk a little bit about Madden 19. Just out of nowhere, I guess, out of left field. I'm kind of seeing other people starting to talk about Madden 19 already, and number one, that tells me that maybe Madden 18 wasn't the best game in the world. I bought Madden 18 on launch, and I traded it in the day after I bought it. I got it for like $30 at Best Buy, and I figured it was like a no-risk situation because I could trade it in for more than I even paid for it if I didn't like it. And let's just say I didn't like it. I did like Long Shot. That was about the only thing that I really cared for. But even Long Shot wasn't anything that was going to keep me in Madden. I don't play Ultimate Team for more than, like 10 or 20 games. Because then I usually get bored of just playing over and over and over again. And I really don't like the whole microtransaction thing, even though you don't have to spend money. We're not here to talk about MUT today. Ultimate Team, microtransactions, loot boxes, packs, cards, whatever. That's the hot button topic, and I feel a certain way on that, but maybe this isn't the video for that. What I do want to talk about today is Madden 19's franchise mode. So we've been hearing a lot about how disgruntled the franchise players are with Madden's franchise mode, and in my opinion, rightfully so. I mean, this franchise mode for the last 5 years has been pretty rotten in my opinion. What makes it rotten is that it tries to be too gamey. And what I mean by that is, instead of focusing on the stories and immersion and things like that, and having dynamic systems in place to really drive that immersion home, instead what it has is an XP system that's really gamey. Really, the XP system acts almost like a live service. What I mean by that is, you're playing these games trying to achieve specific goals so that you can upgrade your players. And to me, that just doesn't work in franchise mode, because that's not what franchise mode is about, to me. Now, some of you may be going, Lex, that's exactly what franchise mode is to me. To build a team, to build my players and stuff like that. But the problem with that is, there's no fun in that past the first or second season. Once you win the Super Bowl, and once you figured out a way to work the system, it's just not fun anymore. The reason that we watch the NFL is in part because they are the best football players in the world. Or at least we think so, because really, football, as we know it here in North America, is really not the same as soccer is around the world. The popularity is just not there for what we call football. Anyway, regardless, the point I was making is, the reason we watch the NFL is because we follow stories in the NFL. There are stories to every single game. Even the worst teams playing each other have a story to tell. And the problem with Madden's franchise mode is that it does a terrible job covering those stories and acknowledging those stories, if it even does at all. So let's give an example here. So you have two teams that have losing records. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're playing week 17. Really no big star players. There's no one coming back from injury. There's no player who got traded. Now he's playing his old team again. There's no threads to hang by there. So what exactly is the story with this game? Draft positioning. That is the story of this game. Who wins, who loses. Who loses is going to get a better draft pick. And that could be the story that you're trying to tell. The problem is, what Madden does instead is they make very vague news stories about ridiculous stuff. And, I don't even want to give an example, because you can just boot up Madden 17, Madden 18, 16, 15, Madden 25, Madden 13. Boot them all up. You'll see what I'm talking about. They're stories that have nothing to do with anything outside of the obvious. So, my problem with EA, more specifically, my problem with this development team, is that instead of understanding that they have a core problem with immersion and dynamics in this mode, instead of acknowledging that, what they do is they send out their game changers to say, let's make a list of the things that you want the most in this mode. Which the problem with that is, what it does is it basically gets people thinking about features. So let's talk about coaches, extended coaching staffs, offensive and defensive coordinators, specific team coaches, or specific position coaches like O-line coaches and special team coaches, trainers, that kind of stuff. Actually having an impact would be great, but we're talking about just having them in the game at all. And not only that, but having a coaching carousel so that the defensive coordinator of one team can be up for the head coaching job of another team, and that creates all that dynamic storytelling. That's great. I want that in the game too. But the problem is that Madden's current system is not set up to properly cover the stories that a coaching carousel would have to offer. So why is this a problem, you say? Well, you might be thinking, well, I can see the coaching carousel, I can see who's going. How many times in Madden have you played a Week 7 game against the Packers, for example, and Aaron Rodgers is not the quarterback? And you're saying, what the hell happened? When did this happen? You don't know, because they do a terrible job at covering the stories in the game and acknowledging those stories, bringing them to the forefront. That's what franchise mode needs to be. It needs to make us feel like what we're doing in our franchise mode is important. It needs to be so that when you turn on the game and you log into your franchise and that first screen pops up, it needs to hit you right in the mouth with stories, with threads. For the whole, these stories need to thread throughout the season and into multiple seasons, and it needs to branch and build off each other. This is the system that we need. We don't need more practice mini games that, give us 0.2% man coverage. That's not fun to me. That's not going to keep me coming back to play. That is minutia that a very small percentage of people would ever even care about. And I guarantee you, most people don't even do practice how they have it set up now. Even me, a hardcore Madden franchise player, even when I did my review for Madden 17 and I picked the 49ers and I went through and did practice every week and every week, by the second or third season, I was like, I don't feel like I need to do this anymore. This is not something that I'm having fun with. This is not something that is dynamic. No players are getting hurt in practice. I'm not really seeing players, boost each other out of positions in practice or anything like that. It's not fun to follow or play through. But getting back to the topic of asking the game changers to ask the community what their priorities are, that is a big mistake, in my opinion. Because what needs to happen instead, and this is what we've seen in other games that have successful franchise modes like NBA 2K. They need to put someone in charge of this mode who has the vision and understanding of what this mode needs to be better, more dynamic, make people want to play and keep playing over and over and over again. And it's not a live service thing. It's not a log in every day to get a bonus of XP. That is not what people are going to come back for every single day. When you are invested into something, emotionally invested into something, like a television show or a YouTube series, and you want someone to come back every single day, they have to be hooked on something. There has to be some sort of feeling there that when they click on that video, it's going to mean something to them. And getting a little more XP for your running back so that they might maybe not fumble the ball as much, that to me is misunderstanding the whole purpose of this mode. And there are some people out there that will get out a notebook and they'll write down stories and they'll use their mind and be creative, and they're happy with how franchise mode is right now, and that's great. But that does not inherently make franchise mode better. It may make it better for them, but you got to understand that not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody is going to try to come up with stories or try to track stories in a notebook or in their mind or on Google Drive or whatever they use. This stuff needs to be in the game so that when we boot it up, we don't have to do any extra work. It's all there for us. So let me throw you an analogy here of asking the community what they want. And you may say that this analogy doesn't work because it's too vague, but you're also asking 2 or 3 different subsets of franchise fans what they want. So if my wife and I are like, we're hungry, let's cook dinner, and we say, oh, we don't have enough food in our pantry, we need to go to the grocery store, and I say, I'll go to the grocery store, why don't you write down a list of your top 5 things, your top 5 favorite foods. I will go to the store, I will get those things, come back, and I will cook them all together for dinner tonight. What's gonna happen? It might taste good, it might turn out all right, but for the most part, it's gonna be terrible. Why? Because the foundation isn't there. Just because someone wants something big, grandiose, a great feature, whatever it may be, doesn't mean that it should be put together in that order. The reason gameplay is where it's at right now, which is not perfect by any means, but it's a lot better than it was 5 years ago. The reason that gameplay is where it is because they had a vision, and they started out and they said, here's how we're going to build this thing. This is going to be first. This is what we're going to worry about first. And then next year this, then the year after that, and in 5 years this is going to be a very solid playing game, so that we don't get made fun of anymore. There are still glitches that they get made fun of for, yes, but overall the minute to minute, second to second gameplay is pretty solid. At least in my opinion. It's fun to play, and that's all I can really ask for a video game, that it be fun to play. And along the way, they maybe thought of new things that they could put in there. They listened to feedback and changed up their plan a little bit, but they had a vision, they stuck to it, they had people who believed in that vision, and they saw it through, and they're still doing it. They've adapted. It's been 5 years, but now let's stretch it even further. Another 5 years, right? We have the vision for the next 5 years. But franchise mode started out with a vision, then it changed a new lead, and then it changed a new lead again, and now it's kind of like someone else, third removed, is carrying someone else's vision, and it doesn't work. And not even that, let's talk about John White for a bit. John White is the lead designer on franchise mode. Every interview that I've heard John White do, I don't feel like he's on that level of having the vision. It's always like, what does the player want? What does this? And that sounds great, right? You ask the consumer what they want, and they tell you, and you put it in the game, right? What could possibly go wrong? Well, we're not game designers. We're not developers. We don't think about what needs to go in first, what needs to be the base layer, and then what needs to be the coating, the frosting, and what needs to be the sprinkles, and when they need to go in those orders. If you just say to us, what do you want? We say, I want sprinkles, right? And you just chug down a bunch of sprinkles. Again, with the food analogies, but we can all relate to food, I guess. I don't see the vision with this development team unless somebody new steps in, or unless they just haven't said it because they're keeping it secretive. Could be, right? That could be the case, but I don't know. Wow. Alright, I think I've gone on long enough about what I think about Madden and their franchise mode going forward. To me, it's just really dull. It's boring. It needs to have new life injected into it. And it really needs to focus on those pillars that I talked about earlier. Dynamics, immersion, and we need feedback for what the AI does. So Eli Manning just got benched for Geno Smith in real life. If I would have said that to you in the beginning of the year, there would be some people that are like, yeah, Eli Manning, he's no good. I can understand that. Most people would be like, you are insane, right? If that happened in Madden, there would be a ton of people just irate about why did this happen. The AI is dumb. It's put Geno Smith in for Eli Manning. If that happens in Madden, I'm okay with that. Like, if something like that happens in Madden that seems kind of crazy, I'm okay with it. But the problem is that it doesn't give you the proper feedback as to why something like that happened, right? It doesn't tell you Eli Manning has been playing terribly for the past 2 or 3 months. We need to see what this Geno Smith kid can offer us. Offseason is coming up soon. We need to figure out what we're going to do. This is all the thought process of the Giants. And that needs to be relayed to us. Not only that, but that kind of move needs to be relayed to us. Because in Madden right now, in their franchise mode, you might not even see that. And you might play the Giants in week 16 or whatever and be like, why is Geno Smith playing instead of Eli Manning? That is the problem with Madden. It's just, there's no context to it, or very little context to it. There's no dynamics. There's no immersion to speak of. It's dull, boring. Everything from the menu design down to the actual systems in the game. And even creeping into the presentation of on-field games as well. So unfortunately, I don't have a list for you guys saying this is what they need to put in the game. I think Deuce Douglas did a fantastic job of putting that stuff together in a way that was informative, and someone could look at it and see, okay, I know what he's talking about, because he did mock-ups and everything. And I haven't heard from Deuce in a long time, so I don't know if they snatched him up or what. Deuce, I don't know where you are, bro, but he was one of my guys, Deuce. Him and I think on a very similar level. And hopefully he is on that team now. But just as of right now, I really don't see it for Madden 19. And I know I ramble a lot, and I don't know why I just decided to hop on here. And I'm actually working on a new documentary for NCAA football. But I guess I just got to ranting in my head and wanted to catch it on camera and all that kind of stuff. And I know this went long, so if you stuck with it, thank you, and I'm going to start trying to post a lot more videos too. So anyway, thanks, and hope you guys have a good evening and a good rest of the week, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.